one.
Hello, welcome. We're dropping in today, kind of impromptu, because there's some big stuff going on in the sky we want to talk to, especially the Triad of Transformation. If you've been watching our videos, you know and have heard us here talk about them. Yeah, this is Martin and Dayana, the wonderful astrologer. My name is Dayana Robinson. I do astrology and nutrition.
They know us. They
That's
watch our
true.
videos all the time. Thanks for subscribing and doing everything. But we wanted to drop in, we've been talking about this triad of transformation. And for the last month and for another month, this grand kite is constellating the triad of transformation. So we wanted to take a little time to flesh it out for you. So when we talk about the triad of transformation, what do we talk about?
We're talking about the transpersonal or collective planets. So that's Pluto.
Pluto in Capricorn.
The black guy. Or woman. Neptune in Pisces.
Neptune in Pisces.
And that symbol right under Neptune, that's also known as Neptune's saber. Or I'm thinking of the god Neptune.
Yep.
So Neptune is also known as the god of the sea, and the trident below there, just to give you a little reference.
And then
Uranus.
Uranus in Taurus. So Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune are engaged in a relationship where Pluto is in trine to Taurus. So Pluto in Capricorn, Taurus, Uranus, both earth signs are 120 degrees apart. That's a trine. So, and then Uranus makes a sextile to Neptune, and Pluto makes a sextile to Neptune, forming what we're calling, our friend Alan came up with the saying, Triad of Transformation. Now, this Triad of Transformation was constellated last year in the summer and the fall, and we saw the same grand kite appear for most of the end of the summer and into the fall. Same thing's happening this year. Same thing will happen next year, and then it will mature in 2025. But that same grand kite will also come in 2026 and 2027 and 2028. So we're talking about a major astrological alignment that has deep consequences in the evolution of our collective psyche and, of course, our own personal evolution.
One thing to note here is so they're all in this blue. You see how it goes blue, red, if you're following the board. So they're all in blue, and the blue stands for feminine signs. And then the red is the masculine. So it flips from feminine to masculine to feminine all throughout the zodiac. So right now they're all in feminine, but in 2025, one of the big things we're watching is what's happening now, because then they're all going to flip into masculine into the next sign.
So basically what's happening is Pluto, we've already been talking about this. We did a video on a new era begins. Pluto comes into Aquarius, and Pluto's doing a dance. It's moved this year into Aquarius. It moved out back into Capricorn. At the beginning of 2024, it'll be back into Aquarius, and then go for a little while into Capricorn again, and then for good in 2025. So then we have that Pluto in Aquarius, and we'll flesh that out for you.
It's gonna be there for 30 years?
22,
25-ish?
Something like
that.
Quite
a long time.
Till 2042. So whatever that is. And so then in that process, we're going to have Neptune going into Aries. And so that's something big to flesh out as well. Neptune's been in Pisces for 12 years. Neptune spends 12 years in each sign. It's about at the end. It's at 26 degrees right now. At the end of 2024, beginning of 25, it moves into Aries. And then Uranus is at 23 degrees. It moves faster than Neptune and moves faster than Pluto. So by the beginning of 2025, it also goes into Gemini. So then the three major collective planets, the transformational planets, are all shifting signs together. And so that's really a big event. So that in the summer of 2025, all three planets will be at 1 degree of Capricorn, 1 degree of Aries, and 1 degree of Gemini in an exact triad with that 120 and 260s. And then when the sun and on planet that travels at 1 degree of Libra will constellate that grand kite, so that at the beginning of fall of 2025, we're going to have that grand kite, but we're going to have it with Venus, Mercury, Mars, and the sun and the moon as well. So then this is these formations we've been analyzing in our Soli Luna videos. We wanted to give you a bigger picture, so we took all the other planets out. I left Jupiter and Saturn, and we're going to talk about that. But now let's take a little time, if we may, to talk about what is that going to look like. Pluto coming into Aquarius, Neptune coming into Aries, and Uranus going into Gemini.
Now should we go one by one?
Yeah, let's start with, we talked a lot about Pluto coming into Aquarius.
We have. It's definitely a topic, and if you follow astrology in general, I'm sure you've heard lots about it. It's definitely a hot topic for all astrologers right now. What I know of Pluto in Aquarius, or coming in, is Pluto being that which is dying to be reborn, Pluto being that which is pushing our evolutionary growth, and also kind of controls a lot of our fate. Going into Aquarius, I see a lot of growth and dying to be reborn and fate around. Aquarius is like, always try to understand it more, but I think of like the genius, the awkward, the weird, but then also this, it's ruled by Uranus, and there's this piece of like amazing amount of information and knowledge. It's affirmation in Aquarius is I know. So how do we die and reborn into a knowingness, or how is this going to be like a fate of coming into a new knowingness as a collective? What would you say?
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So in the Astrology of Fate by Liz Green, which is the best book about Pluto you'll ever read, she talks about the fates. So the fates, there's 3 of them. There's the spinner, there's the measurer, and there's the cutter. And that symbolizes the destiny of a human being. So that's the 3 fates. And they're associated with Pluto, but who's the mother of the 3 fates?
Moira.
Moira. And what is her name in English?
Dayana? No.
Necessity.
Necessity.
Necessity. So Pluto is necessity. She forces upon you necessities that are karmic and that are necessary for your evolution. So the last time Pluto turned into sign, she went from Sagittarius to Capricorn in 2008, and was followed by the big economic crisis and this complete drama of structures falling apart as Pluto has traveled to Capricorn. And we're really familiar with that. Since 2008, we've been trying to avoid the necessity of facing the collective crisis, and we've been in crisis ever since. And so then Pluto coming into Aquarius, Aquarius is the water bearer, and it's community, and it's the ideal community. It's an air sign going from an earth sign to an air sign. So now it becomes about ideology, and Pluto transforming ideologies. And the ideologies that we're confronted with, everybody thinks they got it, they know the truth. But then really when it comes down to it, we're, the tension between different ideologies. And so that kind of a indication of what that Pluto in Aquarius is. And another factor that we talked about in that video is we talked about the age of Aquarius and what does that mean, and Pluto coming into Aquarius, so then there's a lot wrapped up into that. So that kind of fleshes out Aquarius. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just as a snippet, and again, watch the video of Pluto and Aquarius. We did, if you want to dive more, but we did get a little snapshot of the beginning of it. So I think it was from March of 2023 till about July of 2023 this year we saw that.
Yep.
And one thing I noticed, because I always try to, I definitely live in a bubble, but I try to be aware of what's going on as much as I can handle, is something I saw really grow is like Chat GPT. And so there's this like ideal where like we make technology to serve us, but now there's a flip side to it, and then there's ideologies that are coming out of it, and then there's also the growth of what is this called, where there's like sudden art that's online. There's a word for it. Basically you can put your photo in and then you get this beautiful painting, and put a couple keywords in, you get all these digital art. But it's really compromising or questioning like that in relation to people doing the hard work of learning how to do that art form in tangible form. So I think those are like little clues of what's to come. And I do think those are like growing pains. I don't think we have to maybe fear being stuck with things that are hurting us, but definitely looking at the pre-signs is helpful sometimes.
I'm very skeptical of all of this.
It's good.
Well, I was born in the 50s, right? In 1959. When I was a teenager in high school, the line was that your life's going to be revolutionized by technology. Very, very soon. We're going to solve all the problems of health, and you're going to live really, really long, and then you're barely going to have to work because technology is going to do everything for you.
That's what they taught you in high school?
That's what they were saying in high school. And every new advance in technology has made things more complicated and more difficult, so much so that we work harder than we were working back then. So when I hear, like they call it AI, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
We don't need artificial intelligence. We got plenty of that. We need real intelligence, and so interesting. But anyway, that's my rant for now.
I appreciate it. It's good to give us perspectives.
Okay, so now
Neptune
in Pisces. Now, Neptune rules Pisces, so it's very strong there. And it came after Pluto came into Aquarius. When did it into Capricorn? So when did it come? When did Neptune? This is an ephemeris.
So helpful if you want to study astrology more and become your own astrologer. You're gonna need one of these.
An ephemeris. This is 100 years of where the planets are every day of the year. 100 years. So you can look in there and you can see for your birthday what was going on. You can see what somebody's birthday was like and what the planets were without really having to draw a chart. And the more you get adept at reading an ephemeris, you can go anywhere and you can always know what's going to go on in the stars. So it's one of the most important tools an astrologer has. You can get a computer form of it on
Astro.com,
Astrodience, but you can have your own copy. You can have the 20th, the 20th century, and you can have the 21st century, so that you can know where the planets were at your fingertip.
So Neptune went into Pisces for the first time in May 2011, and then it went back into Aquarius for a little bit and was good to go in Pisces for good in 2012. And in
So 2020,
February of 2012.
so 12, and then it's going to leave when? When is it leaving Pisces?
Where are we at here? 2024?
24, 2024. I think it comes in 2025, finally leaves Pisces for good.
April 2025, it goes into Aries.
So, all right. So Neptune in Pisces, what does that feel like?
I don't know. I haven't lived that one yet. Neptune to me.
Well, we just lived the
is-
last 12 years in Neptune and Pisces.
Oh, Neptune and Pisces. Sorry, I was thinking Aries. Wasn't listening, just thinking. Neptune and Pisces. It feels very how do I say elusive, hard to kind of pinpoint. I think of Pisces as the accumulation of the whole chart. It's our connection with spirit. It's how we're connected to everything that is, and all that also isn't in tangible form. And Neptune, so that I've heard one thing is like the hall of mirrors. It can be very elusive or hard to pinpoint, and then to have it in Pisces feels like, how do I say, an expansion of that reality.
So like any astrological phenomena as an equal good and an equal bad, and sometimes what is bad is good and what is good is bad. So really it's really, so we we can't,
same coin.
exactly, so we can't, but the positive aspects of Neptune and Pisces is
Spirituality.
very transcendent, we barely touch the ground, it's like it has a mystical connotation, that urges us towards mysticism and redemption. It's a really beautiful time for spiritual practice. On the shadow side of it, one doesn't really want to have to deal with reality. The dream is way better. I would rather be high than face reality. Neptune and Pisces. So it was interesting, we were going through a major crisis, Pluto coming into 2008 and the crash and all the things, and we were going through 2012 was the anonymous and the the student movement and pushing back, and that's when the 1% became really popular. And by 2012 everybody was kind of in dream space, and then all of a sudden we forgot, and then we had everything that's happened leading to that, so then that Pisces gestation and that refusing to incarnate and the mysticism that came along with it, blurry lines, but then what is Neptune coming into Pisces look like? I mean,
Aries?
I'm sorry, Neptune coming into Pisces, that's very different.
Neptune coming to Aries.
Neptune coming into Aries.
Yeah.
I'm very Neptunian.
No, I did too. It's that's where I felt a little more stumped. Like I'm thinking of, I mean, the great mystic is another thing that's associated with Neptune, and then to come into Aries, I can see it being pretty sobering, pretty action oriented. Or how does the shaman within us make actions forward versus kind of being in this bit of a dissociative? Or I also see maybe I had this image just now of like going in the hills to meditate and become one with all that is, and then the change of, well, if you want to enlighten, chop wood, carry water, and do the work. Chop wood, carry water. I like that. So Aries is masculine and fiery, and it's about ready, set, go. Neptune, then our mysticism and our quest for redemption becomes warrior-like. It becomes like, okay, we got work to do, so then instead of like going away from the material world and transcending, now it becomes like, how do I integrate? So then when you look at angular relationships between Mars and Neptune, two things come. Mars, Neptune. Mars is the ruler of Aries. Mars and Neptune, on the dark side of it, you got victimization. Everybody is against me.
You know, that's Neptune Mars. If somebody has a strong Neptune Mars, they'll tend to be, their will is going to be overwhelmed by the flooding of Neptune, the emotions of Neptune. On the bright side of it, you got the warrior for redemption. So then you have the spiritual warrior. So then I think that that's very interesting. We can look at two things. We can look at the last time Pluto was in Aquarius. That won't be in the
not this century.
1770, 1760. That's 260 years, 220 years. Yeah, 220. Anyway, Pluto has a 220-year cycle, right? So then that was the time of the American Revolution.
Yeah.
And the French revolutions, which were major democratic revolutions. That's the last time Pluto was in Aquarius. So that's really important. The last time Neptune was in Aries, that's the mid-19th century, 1860. That was, you know, they were, you know, that's kind of the, you know, the real big phase of colonization that we experience, you know, that was like the beginning of the age of technology and the submersion, and it was the beginning of film and camera and all of those things, you know. So then Neptune in Pisces, in Aries. So we're going to flesh that out. We got another couple of years to look at that, and we'll dive deeper into that. We kind of wanted today to kind of share our studies with you, you know, so we don't have our facts together. We're just doing our studies with you. I hope you enjoy it. If you got any questions, please ask. We're not quite done, though. We want to talk about Uranus and Taurus. So when did Uranus come into Taurus?
2008.
No.
Yeah?
No, Pluto came into
that was
Capricorn.
2008.
Uranus into
know.
Taurus. This is a 7-year cycle. What happened is in 2008, Uranus came in Aries, as was in square. So we had the Pluto-Uranus square from Capricorn to Aries.
Okay.
And so that was the beginning of the square of Uranus and Pluto, and we had that till 2022. No, till 2020, right? So the Uranus-Pluto square. Now the Uranus-Pluto square has evolved into a trine, and at the
18?
Well, it's moving out.
16? Or I can actually look at that.
Yep. So Uranus came into Taurus, so we have about 15, 16, 17, 2017. So Uranus came into Aries in 2010, about the same time that
2018 it went into Taurus.
And then it went into about the same time that Neptune came into Pisces, Uranus came into Aries. And then in 2018, it was still within orb of Pluto square, and now it's moved out, and now we have the trine. So it's an evolution. And for those who are new to astrology, we have a playlist called The Astrology of the Great Reset. Those are big, wide lens study, and we talk a lot about the Pluto-Uranus square, which is very, very important in the evolution of humanity. And now we have a Uranus-Pluto trine building that we're starting to experience, and it will be exact in 2025. Very significant. So Uranus in Taurus, Pluto in Capricorn, what does that feel like? Well, especially Uranus in Taurus.
The one. Okay.
Uranus in Taurus.
Uranus in Taurus started in 2018. Uranus, again, being like the collective psyche and higher mind thinking, collective I think of like technology especially as a way of like many people communicating or sharing a lot of information that's beyond the personal. Moving into Taurus, it's also like Taurus being about the earth and practicality and resources. There's been a shakeup the last 5 years of resources and what financial structures look like, and Taurus also rules money and possessions. So Uranus being like the ground shaker or the sudden changes to how we deal with money in the world, how we have resources distributed. Those are the things that come to my mind, at least.
That's exactly how I look at it. Taurus being the earth, Uranus shaking.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, wow, you know, the ground has been unstable.
Yeah.
You know, it's been like, you know, with the Pluto Capricorn, so Pluto in Earth sign, Uranus in Earth sign. It's like ever since that crash, you know, it's been like the Earth has been unstable, and then with Pluto and with Uranus in Earth sign, it's like, you know, that's basically what we're going through. Is we're going through Pluto in Capricorn and then Uranus in Taurus. It's like, whoa, yeah.
So I'm just laughing inside a little because right now we're filming this and it's Virgo season. What is the day today? September 7th. And there's been this collective uncertainty that's really like palpated the last couple of weeks, but it's making a grand trine. And so this uncertain, usually I think of like grand trine earth signs as being like manifesting good. And it is that, but it's also really uncertain feeling out there.
With the Jupiter in conjunction with Uranus, which we'll be experiencing for the next year or so. So that's really difficult. But so now we talked about that's no problem. That was perfect. That was perfect. But now we got Uranus coming in a Gemini. Whoa, what does that feel like?
So if we think of Uranus, a sudden change and like new information and instant, and then Gemini is communication and information, maybe some like radical new information comes down the pipes.
Like, you know, like, oh, you know, like, whoa, you know, like we're gonna have Pluto and Aquarius in trine to Uranus and Gemini. So the information's being speeded up, and Gemini being ruled by Mercury. We talked about Mercury and Uranus. Mercury being the personal mind, Uranus being the universal mind. So the universal mind coming into the Gemini trickster twin archetype. That's so so then quiz for you. When was Uranus last in Gemini?
Oh, was it World War II?
Yep, 1940s. Yeah. 1940s is the last time Uranus was in Gemini. So we got a combination of, you know, the French Revolution, the American Revolution, the Great Rise of Colonialism, and World War II. You know, those are the last time that these three planets were on those signs, and now they're engaged in this exact relationship. And all throughout those times, you know, those three planets, they always interrelate with each other. For those who like to read, the greatest book of astrology in our generation is?
Oh gosh, the Astrology of Fate?
No, that was the last generation.
Oh, our generation.
This
is Richard Tarnas.
Cosmos and Psyche.
Yes.
Cosmos and Psyche is the study of these three planets with Jupiter and Saturn for the last 3,000 years of history. It's a book that took Richard Tarnas 30 years to compile. It's a fascinating journey in the history of the world, from a political, from a creative, from a socioeconomic perspective. It's so well researched. Reading that book, well, one, you can read it once and then twice and three times, and then you'll be an astrologer. But it'll take you a while. And on
No
page
kidding.
459, he cracks a joke, so be careful.
One joke.
One joke, yeah, well, that's just like, Richard Tarnas, if it's very scholarly and tends to be a little dry, but a fabulous mind and an incredible book. And so then for more information on this, movements that we're talking about, check him out. He's got videos as well. And so Pluto into Aquarius, Pisces into Aries, Uranus into Gemini, all of them at 1 degree of these signs in the summer and fall of 2025. That's big. And what we're experiencing right now is like a preview of coming attraction. A lot of people, they talk about, oh, how difficult this Venus retrograde was. Or they talk about, oh, this Mercury retrograde, and all the difficulties. Well, the difficulties we're experiencing, this sense of shaking the ground, that's about this triad of transformation, and it's collective, and we're all in the same boat. Venus, Mars, Mercury, the sun, the moon, they're personal planets. They relate to my own psyche and my own psychology. Those planets, when it becomes collective, then we look at those planets. Now, the interface between the transpersonal or collective planets and our personal planets is the planet Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter is our hopes and faiths and ambitions, and Saturn is our determination and our ability to give form to what we want to achieve. So Jupiter and Saturn in our own psyche are very, very important. And how Jupiter and Saturn interfaces with the external planet, with the transpersonal planet, tells us how we take our work into the world in references to these transpersonal cycles. So they govern our hope, our faith, our hard work to create form to our vision. Saturn is about form, Jupiter is about vision. And so our personal vision is expressed to Jupiter, and our discipline is expressed to Saturn. Now, these two planets in 2020 made a conjunction with Pluto, and they came together in Aquarius, and now they've moved so that as all of this is taking place, one, we're experiencing Jupiter conjunction to Uranus. And as 2025 approaches, Saturn will be in conjunction with Neptune, so that in 2025, that triad of transformation will also include Saturn. Yep. So I think we fleshed out. We are already experiencing that quite big, huh? And to me, that what gives kind of like a real wide lens view of what it is that we're experiencing right now this summer. And so that's why I wanted to do this video. How did that work for you?
Great. As you were saying that, I was thinking about like the Mercury retrograde. Again, Mercury is one of those things that would have been, when in retrograde, was all in Virgo. So it was in opposition to Neptune, triggering this triad. So maybe we've been feeling on a personal level a bit more of this triad than we have consciously in the last couple of years. So we'll be feeling it more for sure.
So astrology has two main facets. One, character analysis and personal development. But then the second aspect of astrology is WTF is going on. And that is really important. And so there's the long view and there's the short view. So in our videos on Soli Luna, we look at the sun and the moon and its travels. And in the astrology of the Great Reset, we look at these huge universal processes So that's what we offer on the Healer and the Dreamer, and that was really fun.
That was. I
And
would add there's
yeah.
maybe a third facet, and it came up for me earlier. You're talking about the late 1700s, which is medical astrology, because what I've been studying a lot of more medical astrology the last couple of years, and especially the last year. And the more I study it, the more I see how astrology and medicine, they were always used together. They were only separated at the end of the 17th century, early 18th century. And up till then, everything you find on astrology in ancient texts is always medicine and astrology together. So I'm not there yet, but I hope to definitely continue down this path. And
Oh,
put these
you're
things
getting
together
there with
and
your
ideally
beautiful presentations. I don't know if you realize how many people are commenting on those little comments that you put into our Soli Luna videos. A
salts are
lot of
powerful.
people, well, but also the herbs, and now you have
Yeah.
actions that you know, so it's really your work is evolving really well, and it's exciting to have been sharing this
So
together.
excited we get to learn and work together.
I
Yeah.
wanted to point out something that we did this completely unrehearsed, and I want to compliment my sidekick here, Dayana, who was willing to just drop into it. And so this was really fun. We're glad you joined us. Please subscribe. There's no editing. It's all raw, and without you, it don't even work. So thanks for supporting us. Subscribe, follow us. Ask questions. We went big wide lens there, and so we're going to be talking about this for years to come. But just let us know what you think and share our work. Thank you. Whoop, 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 whoop.
So much love. We were born for this.